Hey there, Emmanuel here, and welcome back to the Tech with Tourist channel. In this episode, we'll go over one of the best use cases for AI agents for coding that I believe is useful even if you don't want to use them for your main work, for the things that you do on your day-to-day job, like shipping features, adding features to applications, and stuff like that. So a lot of people I know are skeptical of using AI agents to do that kind of thing because they say that it makes a lot of mistakes when it comes to things like security, things like code quality, and so on and so on. So one use case that I still think is useful, even if you are skeptical of it, is using it to build you tools for yourself, personal tools, whether that's outside of programming or within programming itself. And here, as you can see, I've asked Claude Code to review and summarize the recently implemented custom plugin for working with JJ and workspaces in this directory, and to output a summary of everything that happened. So recently, a couple of days ago, I was using JJ, which is an quote-unquote alternative to Git inside of a project, and then I wanted to jump into Neovim and see how things were working and exactly what changes were recently done inside a particular workspace. And I'm going to show you in just a second what I mean by that. But basically, I realized that I didn't have a way to do it, to accomplish that, and that I needed to build something custom, like a plugin. Obviously, if I were to use something like VS Code, this would be very, very complex to be able to accomplish the exact same thing. But since I'm using Neovim, I was able to get it done pretty quickly. And since I also have AI agents to be able to do the work for me, I've implemented this in somewhat, let's say 30 minutes to 1 hour, including all of the bug fixes that I had to go into and see exactly what was happening. And actually, I didn't even jump into the code. I simply need to test things out inside of Neovim, tell the AI agent, in this case, Claude Code, what was wrong with it, and it eventually was able to understand how to correctly implement this. So now let's jump into another tab here, and I'm going to show you what I mean by this. So if I run here JJ, we have a couple here of different things that I'm working currently to add sort of a community side to what was previously WebDevFuel. As you can see here, the name is still webdevfuel.com. I've changed things to Tech with Tourists, and I'm going to launch a platform for learning with courses, with even live classes. And also I want to add a side to it, which is going to be community oriented with posts, comments, bookmarks, and all of those good things. And as you can see, I have here a bunch of different changes that were done, commits, and I can also add here workspaces, which the concept is pretty similar to Git work trees. So if I say here workspace, as you can see, I was working on something, and I can say here add, and I can replace this one here, and let's say testing for YouTube. So I'm going to add here a new workspace. And now if I do JJ again, as you can see, we have here testing for YouTube, which is the new workspace that was just created. And now with this done, it means that I can jump into this workspace. So I go back here, and then I say here cd workspaces, and then I come back here, and now I actually should have been able to see here the workspaces. So in this case, I'm not honestly even sure where it added. So let's just take a look again here at this, and let's see here the help. So this is the name. Okay, so it actually added that inside of this directory, and it added it with the name that I gave it. So if we say here cd testing for YouTube. Okay, so later I'll need to add this if I were to actually use it to a .git ignore file, but usually I'm going to show you here what the process is that I usually do. So I'm going to say here remove this one, and then I come back, I create here workspaces, and now I can say JJ workspace, and I can say here that workspaces, and then testing with YouTube, and then the name will be testing with YouTube. Okay, so now if we jump into this thing here, as you can see, this is the exact same structure of the repo as I have here inside of this directory. And here I have a bunch of different things that I'm working on related to the things that I do here to teach. But basically now I can say here JJ and workspace. So it has here two currently, so we're not going to concern ourselves with that. Okay, so the last one, let's just see here with YouTube. Okay, so I'm going to use this one since this is the one that I actually need. And we'll also forget the previous one. Okay, so now we have here testing with YouTube, so we're ready to try this one out. So now I'll jump into Neovim, and if I take a look at this here, I have a bunch of different stuff here, but the most important part of this is looking at here development webdevfuel.com. And now I do space and then JW, and I see here testing with YouTube. Now I choose it, and I've jumped into a different directory. And not only that, but also if I do this, and for example, let's say that I want to I'm going to pick something here that we can take a look at. Okay, so if we take a look at this one, this is here, and if I do this, as you can see, the file that I've just selected. So since when I get into this file, it says here apps start web, since it is relative to the directory that we are working within. But if I do this and I see this view here with oil.nvim, another plugin, it says here that we are within workspaces, testing with YouTube, and then apps. And here the same thing. And since I jumped to this file with telescope, it also integrated nicely with this. Now, the reason that I've decided to build this plugin is because a lot of the times I'm using AI agents to build features, and I want to build that feature with the AI agent within a different workspace so that I can see exactly how it works and then merge into the main, let's say, branch, quote unquote, like the main changes that I'm working with. So now let's go back here and focus on the main thing, which is I've built this entire thing. So the entire integration with Neovim, with Telescope, with Neo3, which is the plugin that shows this, and with oil.nvim in around 30 minutes to 1 hour. And I didn't even need to specify any kinds of things related to Neovim APIs. Now, I know those APIs. If I needed to implement this manually, I could have done it, but it would have been a waste of time, especially because this is a tool that I'm running locally. I can test things out. I can see that once I move to a different workspace, it works correctly. Let's say that I go back to this file, and now I can go back to the root. And by doing that, we are here. And now if I look again for a tsconfig file, example this one, and now I do this, as you can see, we are now outside of that workspace and it works perfectly fine. I've done this without having to write a single line of code. So now let's see here what it does. JJ Neovim is a custom Neovim plugin that provides workspace aware tooling for the JJ version control, and it solves a key workflow issue when working with JJ workspaces. Isolated contexts stored in workspaces, standard Neovim tools lose awareness of the workspace context. So one thing that is important is that I've decided to always make sure that the root of a Git repo or a JJ repo in this case has this workspaces directory or .workspaces, and inside of that is where all of the workspaces live. And this is also the workflow that Claude knows how to use, so it works perfectly for me. And then it has the workspace picker, telescope wrappers, Neo3 sync, so it syncs with Neo3, and then we also have a status line here that shows at the bottom where we are currently. So if I do this and then I say here testing, actually I don't have it showing here, but I could very easily like show this, and then the ability also to do JJ commit. So if I do this and then JC, I can just commit here this with a message. I'm just going to cancel. So the files affected are these ones: plugins, telescope.lua, sidekick, mini.lua, and autopair. So these are probably like it actually took a look at all of the files that I changed here with within my .files, but the most important thing here is that it affected the Git files, the SF, the live grep, which is also very important, and then the grep string. This means now that I can tell Claude Code to work within a particular workspace, and then I can very easily jump into Neovim, do this, and then jump to that particular project and navigate either within the tree or look here for specific files. So to test this out, I'm going to show you this really quickly. So let's jump again back into the workspaces and let's take a look at this here. So if I were to create here, so I'm going to say nvim testing with youtube.md, and I'll say here hello. So now I create this and I jump back here. So now if I look here for testing with YouTube, so I have a bunch of different things. None of that is what I'm looking for. If I do this and I now say here testing with YouTube, the file exists, and that's because we are within this workspace. So this is it again. I think this is the best use case currently for me, if I don't think about actually the main work that I do, because I think even the people that are very skeptical of these AI tools being used in production, being used on like work related stuff that is important and needs to work perfectly and have no mistakes and all those kinds of things, I think that this should show, even if you are one of those people, show you that it is possible to use these tools like Claude Code, Open Code, Codex, to still get a lot of advantage when it comes to your productivity. And in this case, I think it is one of the best use cases to use it for your personal tools, your personal productivity, again, whether that's outside of coding or within coding. So this is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to make more stuff related here to Neovim and how to build personal tools for coding, again, outside of coding in the near future. So let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you on the next one.